Hello there, welcome back to my channel, also known as me in the kitchen stirring things and making a right old mess. Um, if you allow me a few moments to blither, look underneath the video for the description field for the timestamps of the bits if you want to fast forward. But just give me a few seconds to have a blither. I was at Ozzy Osbourne's funeral, not the private one, the public one, last week, and it was incredibly emotional. Someone who lives in Birmingham for the last quite a few years, to see a turnout for one of Birmingham's proudest sons was immense. Thousands upon thousands. I wouldn't want to put a number on it, 20, 30,000 maybe turned up, and it was quite special. Even the brass band, which sounded a bit New Orleansy and a bit weedy, but you know, it was good. We're saying goodbye to a friend, I guess. Right, anyway, yes, blither over. This week's recipe is a lamb curry. Normally when I do these long lamb curries, it's a tomatoey, oniony based sauce. Similar this time, only the starring ingredient is cardamom. So there's quite a lot of cardamom in this, and I use yogurt and a blob of cream towards the end. It's really, really nice. So I'm calling it creamy cardamom lamb curry. Let's get on with it. It's really nice. Welcome back to the board of goodness once more. We begin. This is actually, although there's quite a bit of spices, the rest of it's quite simple. So I'm going to go with 3 onions. Oh yeah, this is going to feed about 6 people. So quantity wise, if you're doing 2 or 4 people, scale it back accordingly. Anyway, yeah, sorry. 3 onions for 6 people. 12 cloves of garlic, or probably 1 whole bulb of garlic. Can of chopped tomatoes of your choice. Unfortunately, the only one I've got in the cupboard is one with basil, but the basil taste will disappear. If you've got without basil, that'll be much better. Let's have a look at our spices. We've got tablespoon of cardamom, tablespoon of paprika, a tablespoon of cumin, and we've got a teaspoon, large teaspoon of turmeric, large teaspoon of mustard seeds, and large teaspoon of cayenne. I think that's it. And to finish off, about 400 grams of a decent yogurt. I think that's it. I've just bought this from a local Indian shop. It's a proper Indian Andi thing, a medium-sized one anyway. So I'm going to use that today and see how we get on. Right, and salt as you need it. I'd start off with a teaspoon and then go from there. Da 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 ba ba ba. Oh yes, you'll need about half a litre of water about halfway through. So blah, blah, blah. So we start off and we're going to fry the onions. People who've followed my channel for a while will know that I very rarely put in how much oil you're going to add for frying. Largely because everyone knows how to fry things and everyone has their own ideas of how much oil should be in things. In some Indian cookery, you'd probably put more oil in than you would think. So I'm going to 3 tablespoons of an oil. In this case, I'm going to use ghee, but you might want to use a neutral oil that's got a high burning point or a high smoke point. But anyway, I just thought I'd add that. I don't ever tell you how much oil, whatever to put in. That's your thing. So, onions. Now, quite a lot of you will not want to do really long dishes. Now, I traditionally like to cook my onions down to a really good brown, particularly with something like lamb meat. You may want to just do 10 minutes to just slightly brown this, and then you can carry on. I'm going to do the full sort of 40 minutes, but it's up to you. This is your gig. 5 minutes or 40 minutes, up to you. So there's my 40 minute onions, or in your case, maybe 10-minute onions. I'm going to go in with the huge pile of chopped garlic. 12 of those cloves. This is very garlicky. La la la. And that's going to be 3 or 4 minutes. We don't want to burn our garlic. Da 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 da. So, verdict on the pan so far, as this is a new pan. It's definitely not non-stick, as you can see. Lots of stick. Having said that, there's going to be water in this dish, so we will get a chance to deglaze the pan. I just think there's certain things I wouldn't cook in this because of this. You know, it's really hard to keep it like metal without burning things on it. It's not fully burnt, they're just overcooked. But like I say, when you deglaze the pan, this overcookedness does taste really good and it adds to the flavour. Right, what we're doing now, we're adding all of the spices and bits and pieces. I'm cooking this really quickly, heat down a little bit. So I want to fry the spices rather than boil them. So as I've made the mistake a number of times in the past, put too much water in at this stage. So heat right down. Oh yeah, that's looking lovely. That's how you're supposed to fry the spices. It's beautiful golden yellowy brown, and you'll see it's all going again, it's all sticking to the side of the pan, and we will deglaze that presently. But that looks really good. You don't have to fry the spices for too long, just to get them moving. And then we add in our tomatoes, and we give that 5 minutes. So you can see, even after just a couple of minutes of putting the tomatoes in, that juice has allowed us to deglaze the pan. So all of that lovely flavour that was stuck to the side is now in here. Splendid, wonderful, magic. Right, let's start putting our meat in. Don't want any of that. And we're going to slowly let this, I'm going to take that out. I don't need that piece of bone, that's just bone. I might put it back in a bit. But anyway, yes, I'm going to coat the meat in the spices and the juices before we put the water in. So all nicely coated, turn the heat right down and add your ½ litre of water. Cover this and leave it for an hour, stirring occasionally. Actually, you've got some options here. If you've got a slow cooker and you can't be bothered standing there stirring occasionally, bung it in a slow cooker for 2 or 3 hours. Hour on the hob, but 2 or 3 hours in a slow cooker. Mine is mutton rather than lamb, so I'm going to take a lot longer than the hour on the hob. Mine's going to be nearer to 2 hours, but if you've got fresh lamb, an hour should be fine. Or like I said, 2 or 3 in a slow cooker. So we'll be back and check on this a bit later. Forgot to mention salt. So I'll put a couple of teaspoons of salt in that. Keep checking it for salt content, you might need more. But I've started off with a couple of teaspoons salt. Right, all is cooking well after about an hour. So we're going to add the yogurt. But what I'm going to do is something different. Put the yogurt in a bowl and then put some of that curry mixture into it. It stops it curdling, stops it going funny. So, so bear with me a second. A little stir of that around here. You can see it. Right. Oh, I forgot to mention, about halfway through the hour, start taking the lid off slowly because you want to reduce the liquid. Because if you keep the lid on, the liquid will stay in there. You don't want ½ litre of liquid. You just want sort of this sort of consistency. Just a little bit. It's still got a little way to go, I think. But anyway, we'll pour the yogurt back in. And this is going to go for another 20 minutes. See you in 20 minutes. Just 2 or 3 more minutes, I think. This has been going for about 1 hour and 15, I think. So yogurt's been in there, but I'm going to finish it off with a really indulgent couple of tablespoons of cream. Quite a thick cream this is today. And then I'm going to serve this with some chapatis, and it's going to be gorgeous. Normally at this point with lamb, I tend to put coriander in, or denier as it's called. Not going to today because the cardamom is the main source of flavour. So cardamom-y rather than coriander-y. Right, anyway, yes, next time. This is a gorgeous one. Bye-bye.